Welcome to a live recording from Blogwell, How Big Brands Use Social Media, presented by socialmedia.org in Boston at the Fidelity Center for Applied Technology. This is Aurélien Blaha from Dassault Systèmes with his presentation, #IFWE.
To kick off the second half of Blogwell Boston today is Aurélien Blaha, the Senior Manager of Social Communications at Dassault Systèmes. He's here to tell us about how Dassault asked their fans to change the world and how they created a movement in the process. So please help me welcome Aurélien.
Thank you, Lauren. So what I'm going to talk, so thanks a lot. It's great to have a nearly packed room here. Thank you very much. So what I'm going to talk about is mainly from an experience that we worked with millennials, because a big chunk of our audiences today are coming from the less than 30 years old range, especially in emerging countries. So I'd like to begin with this quote from Ekaterina Walter, first because I'm a big fan of Ekaterina, and then what she says here is very interesting. So if you don't know Ekaterina, she used to be a member of socialmedia.org as a social media innovator at Intel. And she wrote a book, by the way, whose title is Think Like Zuck. So I recommend that book as well. So what she says, well, it starts with the fact that today, globally, 50% of the world's population is under 30 years old. It might be more in the 20% range for Europe or North America, but on global scale, it's 50%. And what she says here is that she said that when it comes to millennials, we should market with them, not to them. And because of that, the fact that they want to actively participate and be involved as partners in the brand they love, and they want to grow with the brand they love. So as I am asked by socialmedia.org, I will not present our company, but I just want to ask you one question. Before this event, how many of you guys have heard about Dassault Systèmes? Raise your hand. Okay. Okay, so we have our competitors there who know us, yeah? But, and employees. That doesn't count, guys. Okay, so very few of you. And you see, this is our problem because our brand, as a corporate brand, is not known worldwide, even though we're a leader in our space. Most of our products are more well-known than our brand name. So a couple of years ago, we launched a very massive advertisement campaign. We reworked our graphical chart, our slogan, everything. And our new slogan since a couple of years is the one that you see above, which is, if we ask the why questions, we can change the world, including that IFWE trademark logo. And we have this IFWE logo in a variety of shapes and colors and backgrounds everywhere, all over the place, externally and internally. So externally, it looked like this big advertisement campaign for ever in our 32 years history, especially in press, TV, airport billboards. So probably if you flew from an airport, you may have a chance to see those ones. So big, really big advertisement campaign. Even internally, we are all obsessed about IFWE. We eat IFWE. We have IFWE everywhere in our offices. This one is the Northwest IFWE that we have taken from our Finland office. Anyway, so we're obsessed by IFWE. So like I said, big campaign, TV, press, airports. So then you may ask, okay, this is an advertisement campaign. This is not social media, right? And you would be right. So, so some examples before of those, a couple of examples of those advertisements. So that begin with IFWE and then either a statement or a question. Some of them are related to actual things that we did with our customers, such as this one, which are kind of nice, harnessing the power of the ocean currents. This one that we did with Frank Gehry, or this one. Again, so those are really great visuals. So I could ask myself as a social media manager, well, I could reuse just those visuals and push them on social media, but that wouldn't be social media, right? Because by design, advertising campaigns are just pushy, top-down communications. So I asked my question, okay, how could I transform that into something really about social media? So I turned on the mic to our communities and to transform that campaign into more a movement. And that led to what we call the IFWE challenge, which is basically asking our fans and people that don't know us yet, what is your world-changing dream? Not just us giving IFWE statements or questions, but asking them what are theirs. And in terms of objectives for us, it was to raise awareness, especially reaching new audiences and influencers by addressing new people by opening the conversation. Engagement as well. We wanted to engage with our existing and newly acquired communities. One of my problems that I had with the IFWE statement is that I didn't want people to think that that we is about the companies, about Dassault Systèmes. That we, in fact, is indeed the whole entire community, the entire humanity at large. And in terms of content, I wanted to take the opportunity to associate the Dassault Systèmes with sustainability and more world-changing enablers in general, and retrieving user-generated content as part of that process. So what we did is that through multiple channels, including our website, Facebook, Twitter, and third-party blogs, we were able to collect all of those into one single place. And the results, so we did run that in 2012, and we're running actually another one currently in 2013. So we had interesting results in terms of audience. At that time, we had a very small Facebook page. We gained 65K on Facebook in only 2 months with very, very low ad spending, just a little bit pushing on the content, but that's all. We got 150K page views on our website. And in terms of engagement, we got more than 500 contributions collected, and our engagement was keeping high, which is not obvious because, as you probably know, when you grow your audience, it becomes more and more difficult to keep engagement levels high. And at the end of the operation, we even had engagement levels which were higher than before the operation. And in terms of content, we gathered that user-generated content that can be repurposed, and all of them revolved about sustainability topic without even us saying that we wanted to have only sustainability-related topics. Those emerge naturally because of the essence of the IFWE concept. Because IFWE brings things related to changing the world, a lot of things about energy, about water, about human, are very interesting topics that rose by themselves. And then the feedback from the community. So as you can see, very positive feedback, but more importantly is I wanted people to appropriate themselves the IFWE branding, and that kind of reaction of people having conversation between one another and mentioning, oh, I like your IFWE dream, and I like your IFWE, this is exactly what I want to trigger. I wanted people to take the brand and appropriate it to themselves. And then we had winners, connecting with them one at a time, and we had winners such as the first prize winner here, whose dream is there. It was about a robot planting tree robot, and we had him coming in at our office and bring his dream to life. This is the second winner. I really like this picture because he had it on his own Facebook page. And as part of the prizes, we provided laptops with our own software on it. And this is so the laptop that we provided for his project, which was a skeleton for Parkinson disease affected people. And this ceremony is the ceremony of a school, and this guy here is just the president of Mexico. So it's really a warm feeling for this. And we had 3 winners, and we also wanted to thank back the community. So we also have a video illustrating 10 more winners. So the link is there, but you can just go on our YouTube channel if you want to see it. And I also was taking inspiration from other folks at socialmedia.org. So last year I went to another event in Chicago, and I saw a presentation from Dunkin' Donuts about the Fans of the Week thing. And then I asked myself, okay, that sounds interesting, but how could I transpose that to my own business? And this is what we did. These are our Facebook covers that we had last year, which were coming from contributions from people. So when I was talking about that user-generated content, this is how we repurposed it. And this is great because this is a way for people to better identify themselves to something that they can trust more than just the corporate voice. So that's the effect we wanted to have here. So if you want to have a look for yourself, it's still currently running. But my takeaway in all of this is that it's really about opening one's brand to a community. And a lot of companies are actually afraid of letting their brand go. So what we tried here, it was some kind of risky. You know, when I opened the first edition of the challenge, I had no idea how many contributions I would get, if I would get 10 or 100 or 10,000. I didn't get any idea. And one of the questions I asked myself is maybe I'll get only crappy contributions. But when you trust the community, I was amazed by what the community came up with. And we had great contributions and great winners. So that's all I wanted to share with you today. Thank you.
Hi, I'm John, representing EMC Corporation. I'm just wondering how you linked the social with the web presence that I saw. So I'm just curious to see what was actually on that page when someone clicked on that. Was it a direct call to action to go over to social to start sharing the stuff, or was it more integrated with the website? Okay, so I will not show it right there because I'm not connected. But if you go on that website I mentioned before, what you would see is actually a widget which is embedded in the website, so you don't leave the website. You can fill in your contribution from there. But that same piece of code is also as a Facebook app. And that same piece of code is also collecting tweets that begin with the hashtag IFWE. But what's important is that everything is coming in a single part. So basically, we don't want people to move from one channel to another. We want to keep people where they are comfortable with. So yeah, I didn't dive into the technical details, but this is how it works, yeah.
Wondering, with this kind of general, broad kind of campaign, did you have a sort of target demographic, or did you just kind of try to touch anybody you could?
Yeah, so that's a good question. As I said at the beginning, we're mainly targeting millennials. So, and something I didn't mention there is that our advertising campaign is mainly targeted at quite high level, C-level executives, because it's featured in newspapers like Time Magazine, Wall Street Journal, Financial Times. The TV channels that are targeted are CNBC, CNN, information channels, and the airports. So my goal also was to have this social media operation as a complement to this, because this advertising campaign is not touching the younger people or the low range of the population. So I wanted this to be complementary. So yes, because we were running it mainly on Facebook and Twitter, we were also targeting more that kind of age, but I would say that the contributions were coming from all over the place, but especially from millennials.
I've got a follow-up question for that. Yep. So how, with social being the complement and targeting millennials more, how did you, get that content more geared towards millennials? How did you change that to be more appropriate for that demographic based, as opposed to what was out there for like the C-suite? Mm-hmm.
So I think that the content from that, like the ads that I shown to you previously, it can match any kind of age or level, because they are very open dreams. So we are actually reusing some parts of that advertisement campaign as examples for inspiration. But I would say that the only difference is just having a bi-directional versus just top down as in advertisement. So just by the fact of opening and asking and having people involved into the process of the brand IFWE is that step for me, which is differentiating from the rest of the campaign.
It looks like some people created some innovative ideas, and you even, awarded these people things. Yes. Did you use these inventions or ideas, and how did you compensate these people? What kind of took place there? Because I'm just curious.
That's interesting because that's a question we get from time to time from the community which is participating. Our goal here is not to reuse the ideas. For instance, that guy who had the rolling tree planting robot ID, our goal is not to manufacture ourselves this. We're not into that business. We're into the business of software. So our goal is to demonstrate that we can help them getting their ID closer to reality that it is. So basically what we have in the, if we really come to the legal rules, is what we say is that everyone remains proprietary of their IDs, but they just allow us to communicate about it if we want, of course, with the agreement. But that's more about, for us, demonstrating that we're getting them closer to reality for their dream. Yeah.
So the overall goal of your campaign was to show your C-suite, large manufacturing companies, consulting firms, those sorts of companies, that you are able to attract great ideas that are going to resonate with their future market, right? Okay, I just wanted to solidify that.
Did you find that there was a more successful platform that the IFWE movement and campaign worked better on? And if so, where did you see the most engagement? What worked best for you guys?
I think I have it there. That is for the 2012 campaign. This is the split, I forgot to mention it, but this is the split that we had last year. So mainly from a website, actually, and then Facebook came second. This year, we pushed much more on Twitter. So I think the chart here would be also very focused on Twitter. And then the last part is about third-party blogs, because we engage, we don't sponsor them, but we engage blogs. We just come to them and say, hey, we have this great, we find blogs that are more in the sustainability field or world-changing ideas field, innovative ideas, that kind of things. And some of them, they like it, and they just reuse that small widget that we have, and they can integrate that into the website. And what they get back is that when someone puts a contribution on the website, it features that the website has been the contributor. So last year it was mainly Facebook, but I saw an interesting rise of Twitter this year, mainly because it's even more easier to share a contribution via Twitter, because you just have to send a tweet and we get it. Whereas the other ways you have to somehow log in on a social network. So.
Sure. Any other changes from 2012 to 2013 that maybe things that lessons learned that you changed for the 2013 IFWE? Besides moving more towards Twitter?
Yeah, so we had some changes. Yeah, one of the lessons learned is, so I'm not sure if you will see a lot. Yeah, here. So this is the widget I was talking about here on the website, or here as a Facebook app, or here embedded on the blogs. The problem that we had with this was just to browse the contribution. So last year we had 500. Right now we're on 1,200 more plus. But the problem is that with this thing, you can only browse the contributions 3x3 or 4x4, which is not convenient if you want to see what were the others' contributions. So that kind of sphere that you see up there, we also have an app which is in 3D, where you can see 200 of them at once. So basically, you just move around the sphere, and you just can click. Each of the triangles represents a dream, and you can just click on one of those, and it displays. And not only that, it also finds related dreams. So if someone, based on keywords, if someone had a similar ID to yours at the other side of the planet, you can see showing up. So that's one of the new things that we've been adding this year.
All of your numbers were really great. I saw you grew your Facebook page by 65,000.
Yes.
So what are you doing to keep these people that are now on your social channels engaged on an ongoing basis?
Well, I guess we continue to communicate on our regular content, but what is great with that kind of operation, as I said, is that it generates user-generated content. So just if we think about the Facebook covers, for instance, we extracted them from the video that we did, which was illustrating 10 of them. So just with that content, we could have 10 weeks of Facebook covers as we wanted. So we have that pool of user-generated content. We can tap it to any time to illustrate things and say, hey, we've got this ring from this guy, and this is great. And engage and further the conversation, because what we do once we collect the contributions is that we would select the most interesting ones according to a number of criteria, and we would go back to the people from using the same channel as they contacted you. So if they would get to us through the website, we would get back through email, or if they get to us via Twitter, we would just tweet them back and say, hey, your dream looks interesting now, it's only 140 characters, do you have more information? And we would get various feedback from, oh, this is just a dream and I have nothing more, to, 50 pages of a PhD thesis with highly documented things, so with all the intermediary things. But to answer your question, yeah, we keep entertaining people with their own content, which in complement to our owned content.
Follow-up question for that. I know it's something we spoke about in an earlier Blogwell presentation today, but what are the legal considerations around using user-generated content with your IFWE campaign? Or are there certain things you did to work with your legal department so that you had the green light for all of the great Facebook covers, et cetera?
Yes, yeah. Actually, what we worked out mainly with the legal was what I mentioned before: the fact that people keep the intellectual property for their ideas, and that we can reuse it for communication purposes. They helped us also work out with country per country regulations. So what problem that we had is that big countries like India or Brazil or China were not allowed to claim the prizes. So that's a problem that we have. People can join in and participate, but we have to remove them during the selection because of their own rules in their own country. But in terms of reusing the branding, no, we didn't have legal constraint on this.
In the voting, was it your fans and followers that did the voting, or was that your firm internally?
Yeah, I forgot to mention that. So no, we have a jury, which is made of half internal people and half external people. That's what we had last year. And this year we had a fully external jury, which is made of 3 people who are influencers in the sustainability space, as well as the 3 winners of last year. So, but we decided purposely not to include voting from the community, because we tried this in other contests and other places in the company, and usually, well, the flow of this is that people can just pick one contributions, and then for some reason that contribution gets higher, and then people who are just lazy just click on more liking this one, and there are some mechanisms that I didn't like in that. So just to make sure that we want to choose the ones that we prefer, we include a jury. But this year, what is great is that we don't have an insider jury. There's no one from the company. It's all external.
The case study you just saw was presented at socialmedia.org's Blogwell conference in Boston at the Fidelity Center for Applied Technology on October 22nd, 2013. Presenters included social media leaders from Fidelity Investments, Hilton Worldwide, Dunkin' Donuts, Reebok, Sanofi US, Green Mountain Coffee Roasters, Dassault Systèmes, and EMC Corporation. The Blogwell series is presented by socialmedia.org and features 8 great case studies on corporate social media. See more videos and our live event schedule at socialmedia.org/blogwell. Socialmedia.org is the community for social media leaders at the world's greatest brands. Members help one another by sharing best practices, actionable advice, and solutions to issues they can't talk about anywhere else, all in our vendor-free environment. If you're leading social media at a major brand, you belong in our family. Learn more at socialmedia.org.